Welcome back to Cripple Creek Sawmill. This is Andrew. This is the part 2 of the cabin build that we're doing. These are the footers. The concrete company that came, they've been in business for about 40 to 50 years up here on the mountain in southern VT where the sawmill is. And they do a few hundred foundations, believe it or not, every summer. And man, they are just fast. When they come in, it's just, you better be ready for them because they're going to be setting forms, getting it done, pouring the crete, and gone before you even realize they were there. When they showed up, the whole crew of guys pulled in. They were there for 2 hours and 40 minutes to set all the forms, pour all the concrete, clean up, and pull away. So they had all the work done in this video in 3 hours. And that's all to print off of the set of blueprints that we gave them. We have a set of weird stepped footers up here close to the house. You can see those 2 vertical panels. They're it's a footer that steps down away from the house because we have a weird detail you'll see later on in the build series. It's a kind of an enclosed portico, so it's basically like it's a dual entry. One side goes to the mother-in-law suite, and the other side goes to the finished basement on the main house. So because of that, and because of the low temperatures in Vermont over the winter, the extreme frigid temperatures we get, especially in January, February, up here on the mountain it can go 15 degrees Fahrenheit below zero. So you have to have frost walls on everything, and that includes a separate frost wall on the interior of the building if you have an exposed portico like that, like a covered porch. So we had to pour a small wall that's about 6 feet deep and about 12 feet wide for an interior frost wall to support that concrete slab for the exposed porch. And then what you see is these guys, they're pouring right now. They've already put in the horizontal rebar all the way through around the footers. And what they're doing is they're taking iron rakes, and they're basically what they used to call it, at least, jitterbugging the slab, or the footers, which means basically they're knocking down the aggregate and then bringing up just a little bit of cement to the surface so they can control the surface texture that they want on the footer. So as they jitterbug, what you'll notice on later on the video is they'll put a scratched pattern on the top of the footer, and it's a deep scratch, basically as wide and as deep as your thumb, and about 15 of those across the surface of the footer. And what that does is it leaves a corrugated surface on the top of the footer, so that when they put the upper frost walls on top of the footer, when they put the next forms on, that the concrete that they pour on the frost wall will key into those grooves, and it'll prevent any sort of sideways shifting, in addition to the vertical rebar that they put on the slabs. So you'll see the guy, he's jitterbugging right now. He's pushing the aggregate down, and he's just trying to have a little bit more of a uniform surface. What's interesting about these forms are that what you'll see is on a lot of DIY channels, guys will set concrete forms, like footers, and they'll try to get them within, a quarter inch of perfectly level all the way around, and they'll spend an entire day perfectly leveling the forms. Well, most concrete companies don't do that. What they do is you see the forms that they have there. Those forms are probably level overall over the whole 42 feet of that this addition we're putting on. Those forms are probably level, maybe plus or minus an inch, maybe a little bit under that, but not much tighter than that. And what they do is they make marks inside the forms with the laser level, and they strike lines with chalk lines along the inside of the form. So all they have to do is pour concrete and jitterbug up to those forms, the lines within the forms, and they know that they're dead level. And that means that they can bypass the need to have perfectly level forms, because the chalk line is going to be absolutely dead straight when you're doing it. So you trowel up to the chalk line, and you have to fill or take out a little bit here and there, but that's concrete. If you pour concrete, you know what that's about. So what they're doing is now the concrete truck, because of the depth of the hole and how sharp the hole edge, he has to keep back a little bit from that hole edge, because what happens is the concrete truck is so heavy, you can easily blow out the edge of your excavated hole and roll a concrete truck into the hole, which happens all the time. Not up here, but I mean all across the nation every day. So concrete truck drivers who are good are keeping their eyes on a bunch of different things. They're trying not to hit anything on the site, so they have to look for power lines, phone lines, any overhanging obstructions, any small things like a shed that they could back into and crush. And then at the same time, they're paying attention to the crew on the ground, and the crew is telling them, one, where they want the chute exactly over the formwork, so he's controlling where he's swinging the chute, and two, the rate of the concrete that they're pouring. So people have a misconception that concrete trucks have an interior pump or something like that, that gets the aggregate out of the drum. The only thing that controls the aggregate leaving the drum in a concrete truck is how fast they spin up the drum and spin it down. So a good concrete truck driver will work with you, and the result is basically like this, guys. So take a peek.